Yes! Welcome everyone to the Festival of Conservatism, your pathway over the fence to capitalism. The great joy and sanctimonious dance, constitutionalism, and most importantly, our dedication and devotion to Christ. Welcome to the Exceptional Conservative Show, live from the nation's capital. That's Washington, D.C., my peoples. But we can't begin the right way until we begin the right way. John Wayne and the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Welcome again, I say. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, we are graced this evening by two beautiful women, of course. Ken's looking pristine again. My wife dresses me for these programs now that I'm on the air. I was rugged and manly. Okay? And now my wife dresses me. I'm sorry. My producer dresses me to appear on the program. And I think I'm going in this week for a shave and a haircut or something or whatever. Apparently, I represent her. Okay? Apparently, moi, museum, me, I represent her. You know what I'm saying? So apparently I do not wish to embarrass her by looking unseemly or unwielding. So I'm dressed neatly. I took my necktie off, people. I took the necktie off. I was not going to wear the necktie tonight. My wife voted against it, and I will probably suffer the great fate having to deal with voting down the necktie. I think I look okay. Thank you, Mary. Mary, my bouncer, is in the chat room this evening, theexceptionalconservativeshow.com. And my lovely producer, Mrs. Biggs, is watching via Ustream and also live stream, just checking. It makes her and I look presentable. Janice Hall will be joining us in the 10 o'clock hour, and we will be talking about not only Russia and their quote-unquote, the air quote, war against ISIL. Yeah, right. They're finally pronouncing the fact that they are supporting Assad. You know, wow, newsflash there, Obama, newsflash. And, of course, we'll be talking about Germany and a few other things, China. I want to thank you all so much for tuning in to last night's show. Mary, I thank you so much for calling me. Mary, my bouncer, was concerned that I had gone off the cliff. And like it unto many people who tune in and listen to this program, that is a concern. You know that we've lost our daughter, and so there's a lot of emotional stuff that you got to deal with. But I assure you that we're well with the Lord. We are. And Mary, I love you, and I thank you so much for calling me. I like the way my male friends get the females up to call me. I had an intervention at a convention just a few weeks ago. It was Faith and Family Convention, I think, in Washington, D.C., and I had an intervention. The guys wanted to know, am I all right? No, man. Are you all right? See, it's different when you say all right and then all right. All of a sudden, the pronunciation of the King's English becomes most pertinent. Are you all right? No, it's all right to be I, but are you all right? ALLRIGHT. Even the spelling of it is slightly different. But I am not going to spend my night talking about that. I just want to thank you all for loving me so much. I love you all so much. Back. The encouragements from Rick. Kevin Wade, I just want to let you know, my wife and I will be coming up for Christmas. We will be visiting Delaware for Christmas. What a lovely, lovely experience it all is. And so many others who just pick up the phone, just send an email, just Facebook me and say, are you alright? Are you alright? You okay? And thank you. I really appreciate that. Tonight I want to talk with you about Arthur Davis and the political agenda that's blocking the ideological conversion. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to make it very plain and very clear to you. Some people you won't be able to convert, convince, or coerce. They are locked down in the baggage called what they know. And I had a conversation online, Facebook, with a gentleman named Leo Alexander under Ralph the Release the Kraken Chittum's page or whatever. Apparently, because a gentleman in Arizona subscribes to the Clintonian, and I don't mean the bill, but the Hillary Clintonian belief that black people shouldn't have guns. Notice how Hillary, when she refers to gun confiscation, like the Klan did, she's not a racist, but when a Republican says he believes that guns should be removed from black people, he's automatically labeled a racist. Okay, and quite frankly, I believe that his expression that the reason why you should take guns away from black people is because they're killing each other doesn't make a lot of sense. It may be racially motivated, it may not be. It just might be an observation that the way to eclipse the increase or the spike. I love the people who are using the word spike in homicides is merely to take away people's guns. But what does that do for the stabbing? Do we take away the knives now? And if we take away the knives, how do we eat our watermelon and our chicken? How do we do that? So I just want you all to know that tonight we're going to talk about Arthur Davis. We're going to talk about why African Americans who want people to be Republicans are dastardly. I'm going to say that. I'm going to be very honest. Are dastardly. And the greater conversion will have to be Paulinian. You have to forget everything you ever learned in order to be a good voter or a good citizen. We'll be back.
Hi, my name is Christopher Arnold. I'm the executive chef of the Table tonight, and today I'm going to walk you through some of the meals that we prepare here. So we're making a pizza. We use fresh Italian sausage. We cook here and slice it up. Our pizza dough is an in-house made. Our pizza sauce is in-house made. So everything is fresh and original. This is our Thai curry chicken. The sauce is made with coconut milk and a Thai red curry. It is juicy chicken thighs with some mixed vegetables, served with jasmine rice and pita bread. So now we're going to prepare our famous blackened tilapia grits, our fish and grits on the menu. And our meal will be complete. Let me tell you about our infused cheeseburgers. We kick the spice up just a little bit with our infused sauce.
You know what I'm saying?
We start off with 80/20 USDA ground chuck ham patty burgers, like half a pound of burgers. We're going to grill it to perfection. After I flip the burgers, we add the sauce, let it cook on it for a little bit. We're going to add a little bit of pepper jack cheese to this burger, spice it up a bit.
Hey! That's what I'm talking about! Inspire! Indulge! But most importantly, infuse, ladies and gentlemen. I am telling you, that is the bomb to the diggity place to eat. Infuse Restaurant. It is located at 6339 Allentown Road, Temple Hills, Maryland, 20748. Telephone number 301 449 9000. Just want to get that out to you. Woo! I am telling you, if I wasn't such a good Christian, I would go back to my heathen ways and tomorrow night surprise my wife, pick her up after work, and take her out to infuse. But I have to go to Bible study. But the veggie burger that they have there. The veggie burger that they have there. The brunch that they have there. For my down low listeners out of Washington, D.C., I don't care if you never become a conservative. I don't care if you never become a capitalist. I don't care that if you never become a constitutionalist. I do care about the Jesus thing. All right? Don't play me. But if you don't go to indulge, if you don't go to inspire, then you most certainly have to go to infuse. All right? Period. Make certain that you schedule sometime this week to go to Infuse Restaurant, www.infuseinfuse.com, www.infuseinfuse.com. Is a veggie burger a contradiction in terms? I think so. I can't say that aloud. Dave, you just set me up. I can't say that out loud. Now my producer will come out and look at me harshly because I made some type of diversive statement, actually divisive, but I'll say diversive statement about the veggie burger. And I want everyone to know, wink, wink, that the veggie burger has its place in society and we must protect the veggie burger. Dave, you got me in trouble. You must protect the veggie burger. Those veggies died so they could be a burger. That's all I got to say. Oh, Dave, you got me in trouble. I tell you. Dave, can I play this real quick? This is a Cadbury clip. And I need more short I'm going to put that on order for the unpleasant blind guy. I need some really short bites, conservative bites. Here we go, conservative bite.
Time to waste. We live so fast. Make the first step. We reach out for tomorrow. Let's say
Time for an unpleasant blind guy, conservative bite. Every Cadbury product you buy comes with a special surprise. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. That's right. Cadbury is halal. Halal funnels money to Islamic terrorists. Spread the word. Less money for Cadbury means your friends might see another Easter. This has been an unpleasant blind guy, conservative fight.
There we go. A unpleasant blind guy, conservative bite. That's my good friend Dave Miller. You'll find her in the chat. Found him in the chat roll at the exceptionalconservativeshow.com page. Glad that you are here. Glad that you're listening from around the world to the most influential urban conservative show in America. We are not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation. First to the Republican, then to the Democrat. And I want to publicly apologize to my wife for not mentioning the fact that she was watching the show last night. I deeply, deeply, sincerely apologize. And because I apologize, my expectation is that I am no longer sleeping on the couch. There's an order here. There is an order to this show. First, I have to tell everyone that my lovely wife is watching, and then I go to Mary. Okay, and then Dave and the underground professor, so on. There's an order, and I was out of order, and I just want to know that I can actually get off the couch tonight. It's uncomfortable. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to present to you, since we are talking about socialism, and now, how do I do this? Is this on? Is this on? Okay, how about this way? Okay, no, that's not working. Okay, let me do this way. Okay. For some odd reason, I am just not getting this thing right. Yeah, we're talking about the politically. Oh, okay, I see. Okay, all right, you get it right there on live stream. There we go. The politically incorrect guide to socialism. Every Democrat, make certain that you get this for Christmas for every Democrat on your, there you go. I have two cameras that are filming me, so I have to be very careful. Ladies and gentlemen, Democrats are socialists. Democrats are socialists. Repeat that with me. Democrats are socialists. Say it again. Democrats are socialists. There is no longer a Democrat Party in America. It is a socialist party. Now, how can I make that a test? Well, surely, if you say that a socialist can run on your party ticket, then the socialist must have some valuations that equal Democrats. And thus, when you add the little red inky ink to the blue inky ink in the water, the color is going to change. And it won't be blue water anymore. It will be a different color water, and primarily, it will be a red one. Democrats are socialists. Now, some of you all are wondering exactly what a socialist is. So I've been talking about it for a while. I want to go over it with you, and I don't want to go over people's head, because some people say, when you explain things, Ken, it goes over people's head. Okay. William Schlamm, Austrian ex-socialist, says, the problem with capitalism is capitalists. The problem with socialism is socialism. Okay. socialists and communists themselves acknowledge that socialism is not separate from communists. I'm just reading you what socialism, so that you might have a better understanding of this than what I've been trying to explain. It is risk aversion, not revolutionary fervor, that drives socialism. Risk aversion. Risk aversion is, I'm going to do this because I know that people are just not ready for full-fledged communism. Which is why there is such an attack on the Second Amendment in America today. They're trying to confiscate, and what Hillary said the other day, she wants to confiscate people's guns. And I don't understand why Democrats, unless they have stock and gun manufacturers, and they probably do because they're so wealthy, but every time they say they want to confiscate guns, it just means that people like myself and Bubba and a few others go out and they want to buy guns. They want to get ammo. In PG County, Prince George's County, Maryland, for the first time in years, I mean decades, they're going to have a gun show this weekend. And they're one of the strictest states on guns and purchasing them. So, ladies and gentlemen, every time a Democrat or a socialist, we have to say socialists, they're no longer Democrats, they're socialists. And right, thank you, Dave. Socialism is communist-like. Every time a socialist stands at the mic and says, I'm going to confiscate your gun, firstly identifies them as a socialist, because the only way that you can really harm 6 million people is if you disarm them. Wink, wink, Nazism. Go get your fascism today. So, risk aversion is simply, we will piece by piece institutionalize socialism till you get so used to it that you won't do anything else but demand more of it. That you will get to the point where you actually think that you can't do anything without government. I just want to make you know that. Huh? Okay. Let me also go. This is page 1. I'm just going to go on page 1. Fresh fruit, rotten vegetables. There you go. Okay. Lastly, state control is more important to the socialists than egalitarianism. State control is more important. Get your goose step on. Thank you, Dave. Okay. Family traditions. I was shocked when I heard my uncle Soju was looking for me. I didn't expect him to be alive. Ladies and gentlemen, do you understand what this Kim Jong-il just said? He said, I was shocked when I heard my uncle Soju was looking for me. I didn't expect him to be alive. Is he? Let me ask you something, urban American, urbanites. Let me ask you something. When your children get all dressed up, when your children get dressed up, put their Nike shoes that you just spent $300 on, rather than getting them into a math program where they can actually graduate from high school. But you just spent $300 on those red Nikes or the green Nikes that light up in the middle of the night. And you got to pump the lever so and all that stuff. And he wants to buy them because they can be traded later. $300 on those shoes, the Nike shoes, and you got him a nice leather jacket and some of the $100 pair of jeans, and he's looking real sharp, and he's got his hair cut just nicely or whatever, or braided, however way you wish to go these days. Do you expect him to come back home alive? Or are you like Kim Jong-il? When you dress your child up and he goes out the door, you really don't expect him to come back home. If in urban America there is a crime rate which is so horrendous, I mean, there are on the 17th of October there were 74 unresolved homicides in the District of Columbia. 74, not 7, not 4, 74. So the likelihood for many of your children east of the river coming home after they got dressed up. Slam. That's a family tradition. Okay? The other thing about socialism is that people always talk about being hungry for change. We got Trudeau up in Canada. Way to go, Cal! There you go. How far to the left do you have to be a communist Canada? I mean, oh my goodness. Oh, communist Canada. Oh, communist Canada. Oh, communist Canada. The private sector seeks profit, and the government seeks the people's well-being. Venezuelan Food Minister Felix Osorio told National Geographic News during a recent visit to the Pinto Solanas mega Merkel. The free market doesn't call the shots. Regulation does. So sporadic shortages of basic foodstuffs have become routine for many of the country's citizens. When food shortages become critical in Venezuela last year, for instance, Helen Mercada and Luis Barada visited store after store searching for milk for their 3-year-old son. But many times the young couple had to settle for liquid yogurt, which is more widely available because it is unregulated. Unregulated. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to ask yourself this question, especially my down low listeners, since y'all are so into all of the great fruits of socialism, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, Obamacare, free phone, unemployment compensation, and all this. So hooked on the government providing that little brace for you. Gotta ask you this. When was the last time you went to the store? And it could be Kroger's, it could be Safeway, it could be Giant. I don't know if there's still an Atlantic and Pacific A&P or whatever. When was the last time you went to the store and there was no milk on the shelf? Do 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 do. Hardly ever thought of. When was the last time you went to the store and there was no meat at the store? When was the last time you went to the store and there was no bread? I'm not talking about your convenience store in your neighborhood, okay? Let's just be real. I'm talking about people who believe in capitalism, okay? When was the last time? One of the most awing things for people who visit America is not the Statue of Liberty. It's not the Jefferson Memorial. It's not the White House. It's not the U.S. Capitol. It's the McDonald's. Over 3 billion served. They are so locked on the fact that I can look up at the sign and I can pick a Big Mac and I can pick a quarter pounder and I can pick a hamburger and I can pick a chicken and I can pick French fries. I can pick these things and I won't be laughed at because they can give it right to me. The problem with capitalism is that you have a lot of people who are ashamed of being called capitalists. The problem with socialism is that you have a lot of people that are trying to convince you that having nothing on the shelf is better than having your choice.
My name is Christopher Arnold. I'm the executive chef of the People's Restaurant, and today I'm going to walk you through some of the meals that we prepare here. So we're making a pizza. We use fresh Italian sausage. They cook here and slice it up. Our pizza dough is in-house made. Our pizza sauce is in-house made. So everything is fresh and good. This is our Thai curry chicken. The sauce is made with coconut milk and a Thai red curry. It is juicy chicken thighs as well as some mixed vegetables, served with jasmine rice and pita bread. So now we're going to prepare our famous blackened tilapia and grits, our fish and grits on the menu. And our meal will be complete. Let me tell you about our infused cheeseburgers. So we kick the spice up just a little bit with our infused sauce. We start off with 80-20 USDA ground chuck ham patty burgers, like half a pound of burgers, and we're going to grill it to perfection. After I flip the burgers, we add the sauce, let it cook on it until it gets a little bit. We're going to add a little bit of pepper jack cheese to this burger, spice it up a bit.
Order up is right, ladies and gentlemen. You could be sitting at home eating one of those salacious burgers. And their fries are so good. Listen, inspire, indulge, but definitely infuse. www.infuseinfuse.com. 301-449-9000. They're located at 6339 Allentown Road, Temple Hills, Maryland. 20748. Listen, we would love to cater your next event. Yes, Christmas is coming up. Thanksgiving is coming up. People, come on. Why wait till the boss says, you know what? You know what, Gene? Tomorrow we want a party. Cater it. Why do that? Why not just go ahead and be proactive and then tell your boss, listen, I put everything together for the Christmas party. I apologize if I've offended you. It's a whole lot better. Now the boss is happy with you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Exceptional Conservative Show, live from the nation's capital. We're talking tonight about Arthur Davis. And you might be asking yourself, like a lot of down-home people, who the heck is Arthur Davis? Let me play a clip for you and let you know.
I'm 64 years old, and people can't believe that I am. And one day, the quick lift made Anne.
All right. Apparently, she's 64, and that's not what I wanted to. Listen, Arthur Davis had little faith Alabama Democrats would welcome him back to the fold. In fact, he was already planning to take his fight to court. Okay? And so that's where we are. Remember, Arthur Davis came on my program when he had switched from the Democrat Party to the GOP, and he said he was going to be there forever.
Was back in the political spotlight, but not as a Democrat as he had planned. Good evening, I'm Charles O'Connor in for Mark and Val. The board of the Alabama Democratic Executive Committee denying Davis the chance to run for a Montgomery County Commission seat as a Democrat. He left the party back in 2012. And now Davis is taking his fight to court. Our reporter Jennifer Horton has more on the developing story.
Not little expectation, not low expectation, literally zero.
Arthur Davis had little faith the Alabama Democratic Party would welcome him back with open arms. The Radney rule requires a 2/3 vote by the board to allow a candidate to run as a Democrat after supporting the GOP or running as a Republican 4 years prior.
The only time the party has refused to permit someone to run as a Democrat who sought to do so is the guy you're talking to right now. That's over 33 years. So that's enough for me to go to court.
Davisville's Dr. Joe Reed, chairman of the Alabama Democratic Conference, is behind the whole ordeal.
I can beat Joe Reed in Montgomery if it comes down to the voters.
Where I can't beat him is in a smoke-filled room. Where I can't beat him is in a room full of political insiders.
Dr. Reed did not respond to our call for comment, but a member of Montgomery County's Democratic Conference did, and flatly denies Reed forced the board to vote against reinstating Davis, instead blaming Davis's attitude when he approached the board on Friday.
He was very arrogant and demanding that he be reinstated because the party had reinstated everybody else. And he showed very little remorse.
Zach Buckner was chosen by the Montgomery County arm of the ABC to petition the state with the local concerns of reinstating Davis. He says the party does not trust Davis after his stint with the GOP at the national convention and backing Mitt Romney for president. As for Reed's involvement,
Dr. Reed had absolutely nothing to do with it. And that's because I think that he didn't think he had to.
Davis says Joe Reed is out to discredit him because Reed wants his son Stephen to be the first African-American mayor of Montgomery. Davis is candid in saying he will run for mayor in 2019. Reed has not announced any political ambition and currently serves as the Montgomery probate judge. John?
Jim, thank you. The Democratic Party says that Davis is welcome to attend party function and support candidates and run for office. He simply cannot do so as a Democrat.
There you go.
Davis back in the...
You can't run as a Isn't that amazing? That is simply amazing. You see the backbone of the Socialist Party? You see the backbone? A socialist knows a traitor when they see one. And in fact, let me look up the word traitor for you. Okay? I don't know if people like to use that term in politics. I might be disgruntling a whole lot of people by saying that. Because let's just say that he is bipolitical. Can he be bipolitical? Like one day I wake up and I'm a socialist, and then the next day I wake up and I'm a conservative. And I'm so betwixt in between. I feel like Caitlyn Jenner. So, traitor is one who betrays a trust or duty. From the old French traitor, it means villain, deceiver. And actually, it literally means in the Latin, one who delivers. One who delivers. So apparently, we have an understanding that he couldn't deliver for the GOP. How's that Mitt Romney thing coming for you, man? And says he couldn't find a way to run in Virginia, one way in which he would be accepted. Of all states to choose, you chose Virginia. Now he's moving back to Alabama and wants to get into the political chicken coop. He's missing that action. He's missing that backdoor, cigar smoking, dealing and wheeling. He didn't deliver for the GOP, and now he is applying for license to deliver for the socialists one more time. He wants to be the first black mayor of Montgomery, Alabama. I hope William Green is the first black mayor of Montgomery, Alabama. I really do. Traitor. Traitor. Someone who delivers. Arthur Davis could not deliver for the socialists. And now he wants to come back home where the chicken's coop is available for roosting. I want you to understand, as we've been talking about socialism, and this inadvertent hope of hopes that we get the numbers of blacks into the Republican Party. I've been trying to explain to people that the type of immigration you want to the Republican Party is the type of immigration it is that we receive from Syria right now. 18 to 25-year-olds who all bow down to the Muhammad and the hopes of crashing down the United States of America. Not looking for freedom, not looking for liberty, not looking for conservatism or capitalism, looking to destroy the nation. That's what the Syrian refugees seemingly are. Seemingly all male. But with dastard plans. So if you are, and it's amazing how the leftists, the socialists, are so strong on immigration to the Democrat Party after leaving the GOP, but very weak on Syrian refugees coming into this nation, having not given up their allegiance to either Syria or Muhammad. The radical Muhammad, I suppose. You got to say that if you want to be politically correct. Not really, but, you know, hey. Arthur Davis has been turned down by the GOP. He's been turned down because he's arrogant. He's been turned down because his ideology may reflect a core collaborative relationship with the socialists, but he's a traitor. You see, he played both sides of the room. And the socialists don't like that. But the GOP would welcome him back with open arms. Why? Because the GOP likes to play political games. You see, there is a difference between political agenda and ideological headship, per se, or as I have already planned in this particular show. It is that commitment to ideology, ladies and gentlemen, that prevents people from making the transition from the Democrat Party to the Republican Party. Oh, I'm sorry. From the Socialist Party to the Republican Party. Let's go in and let's talk about politic or political, which comes directly from the Latin politicus, or of citizens or the state, civil, civic. And from the Greek, it means of citizens, pertaining to the state and its administration, pertaining to public life. The socialists have an agenda. And for those of you who don't know what an agenda is, let me explain to you what an agenda is. In the Latin, it means things to be done. It's a to-do list. The socialists have a to-do list. What would a socialist like to do in order to make a nation a socialist nation? Would you think they would pursue making certain that everyone had a gun? No, I wouldn't think so. In fact, I believe that in most cases, they would try to disarm you. And why would they try to disarm you? They would try to disarm you simply because you are a threat to the state. The reason why the founding fathers believed in the Second Amendment was not because they wanted you to go hunting on Saturday, actually drive out on Friday night, stay at the log cabin, and then go out into the fields and get a couple of bucks and come on back home on Saturday night. That's not... take a few kegs of beer with you while you're at it. No, that's not what they were intending to do. They understood, watching the Enlightenment in France, watching revolutions from around the world. Hey, come on. People have been revolutionizing. You can go back to Exodus chapter 32 and watch a revolution take place in Israel amongst the Israelis, or at least amongst the Hebrews. People have been doing it for such a long time. What they wanted to make certain is that if the state were to come against you to try to take away your civil liberties and your freedoms, then certainly, you would need to defend yourself, because you would choose liberty and freedom over Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. At least I think so. I don't know so today. There is a political agenda, a political checklist by the socialists on what they would like to do to install socialism in a country. So let me take you to the second Bill of Rights. For those who are following along at home for the first time, you're listening to the Exceptional Conservative Show, live from the nation's capital. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who was not a big fan of the forming of Israel. In fact, he wrote a letter to the Saudi Arabian king in 1945, a week before he died, telling the Saudi Arabian king that he certainly was not going to support an Israeli state. But that's for another show. We'll talk about that. President Franklin Roosevelt, and this is according to the Heritage Foundation, of course, used his 1944 State of the Union address to advance his second Bill of Rights, a broad vision of the role of government in making lives more secure. So the whole idea is that we trade our liberties and our freedoms for the security expressed by a state or government. That's what socialism does. See, socialism says, don't worry, Vladimir Putin will make certain that your kids eat. What he does not tell you is that he will put a bag of rocks on the shelf and mark it bread. In America, my God, in America, people complain about America, but where else in the world can you get up right now, get in your car, find 6 liquor stores, 5 restaurants, a couple of shops, a grocery store, a little mall, all within about 4 or 5 blocks radius of where you live? Ladies and gentlemen, we live in one of the most prosperous, blessed lands in all the world. It is what God wanted for Israel. And we have it. And yet we trade all of the things that allow people to be prosperous for a hit. It sounded like a hit. It is, because we have become addicted to the government solution for things. We have traded our prosperity for security, and we lack each right now. FDR said, necessitous men are not free men. Since true individual freedom cannot exist without economic security and independence, there is a challenge there. Intellectual challenge. And why not at the close of a war? When your policies, your New Deal policies, extended the recession and depression by a decade, why not then propose that men change, that men surrender their freedoms and liberties for the sake of having a bowl of soup, maybe some chicken, then everything gonna be all right. We'll make certain of that. I go on, since the true individual freedom cannot exist without economic security and independence. Have you ever stopped doing what God wanted you to do because you needed to keep your job? The original Bill of Rights must be supplemented by 8 rights that spell security. The proposed rights include the right to a useful and remunerative job, not the right to work, but the right to demand a job, and a well-paying one at that. Wow! I don't want to be the mailroom guy. I want to be the CEO, and you better make it happen, or else. Or else what? Or else we'll turn this company inside out and we'll tear it down. While no Congress has formally adopted these as rights, legislation has expanded the meaning of these benefits such that we now speak of rights to health care, rights to work, rights to education, rights to housing, and rights to salary levels. In certain civic traits and freedoms, so it declared these activities, such as the freedom of speech, to be protected from federal government interference. By contrast, Roosevelt's rights require ever-expanding federal government programs for them to exist. There is a political agenda in place, and so let's check off that political agenda, if you don't mind. I want to check it off for you. See if these things are happening where you live. Number 1, the right to a useful and remunerative job in the industries or shops or farms or mines of the nation. Did you just recently have an election where there was a check the box, where a owner of a company could not ask an applicant if he had spent time in jail? Now, imagine this. A rapist wants to work in the women's section of a store, but you don't know that he's a rapist. You can't ask him. All you can do is, based on what you know, hire him and hope within the 30 days that he's with you, he doesn't commit a crime. But if he does commit a crime on your watch, you become now legally liable for the efforts of the person who presumed that you would know that this person is a rapist who got raped in your store. And then you get liable, you become liable because you can't really fire this person. You're stuck with them. Number 2, the right to earn enough to provide adequate food and clothing and recreation. What exactly, when we consider recreation, is that really a need? Franklin Delano Roosevelt, is that a need? Do I need to go to the movies? Do I need to see Star Wars when I can download it for free on YouTube? Because somebody's going to be at the movie with the phone going like this or whatever. Do I? Is recreation an essential, a necessitous? The right to earn enough. What exactly is enough? What is enough for me is $1 million. Enough for my wife might be 2. What exactly is enough? Can you define that? Quantitate that? The right of every farmer to raise and sell his products at a return which will give him and his family a decent living. An artificial profit? What? We call that a subsidy. The right of every businessman, large and small, to trade in an atmosphere of freedom from unfair competition and domination by monopolies at home and abroad. Wow. Totalitarians believe that they are so powerful, they can make people from around the world submit to their authority here in the United States of America. Now, remember, there are individuals who walk around and say that we should not export our beliefs onto other people. But they have no problems exporting totalitarianism or signing up to walk and march with those who propose Sharia law. Here's another one: the right of every family to a decent home. Wow. Wow. To a decent home. Define decent. Decent for me might be, hey, I quite feel that, I want a 6-bedroom. You risk getting shot in the theater. Thank you, Mary. I might want a 6-bedroom home with 4 baths. That's decent for me. What exactly is decent? The right for adequate medical. What exactly is adequate medical care and the opportunity to achieve and enjoy good health? The right to adequate protection from the economic fears of old age, sickness, accident, and unemployment. Wow, bring it heaven to earth. Why don't you? And then finally, the right to a good education. What exactly is a good education? Is that taking wealth from one side of the room and putting on the other side and keeping the same union teachers? When we come back, we'll be talking with Janice Hall, the J Hall World Report. And then I want to finish off talking with you about Arthur Davis and why there is a problem trying to recruit socialists into the Republican Party. My friends, oil and water don't make a very good mix. At least that's what I've been told. You know what? I've actually experienced it, to be honest. I went to school, I think.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ladies and gentlemen, I pledge allegiance to the Exceptional Conservative Show, live from the nation's capital. We're not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation. First to the Republicans and then the Democrats. Yours truly at the helm, the exceptional one. The lovely Mrs. Biggs is watching via Ustream and live stream. She's got them both on. Congratulations. Thank you. And the lovely and beautiful Mary Brockman, who is my bouncer. If you diss her, you diss me, you will be dismissed. Ladies and gentlemen, the Janice Hall, J Hall World Report is coming up. And this is one of the major reasons why I love Tuesday nights. I really do. I love Tuesday nights because we get a chance to talk with the beautiful one. But she's normally right on foreign policy. I mean, she has a very, very good record when it comes to foreign policy, and want to bring her up, ringy dingy one, ringy dingy two, that kind of thing. Perfect, and we're calling now. We're calling the lovely, the beautiful, the wise Janice Hall, the J Hall World Report.
Hello?
Janice Hall, the J Hall World Report. God bless you. Glad to have you on the air. The Exceptional Conservative Show, live from Washington, D.C. How are you doing?
I'm doing very good. How are you?
Doing extremely well. Glad to hear from you. Listen, you were on fire last week.
Well, I had a lot of pent-up, information. Being gone for several weeks.
You are on fire, and we are so looking forward to that same passion tonight. Want to talk with you real quick about some of the world issues. There is one issue that I am uniquely concerned about, and that is the Canadian election. What exactly happened?
All right. So, Canadians had elections yesterday, and they have a new prime minister. So Stephen Harper is out. He has resigned. The new guy, his name's Justin Trudeau. He's liberal, which is probably going to make everybody on this program cringe. He's basically said, I love this line from this article. He's pledging to tackle climate change, boost the economy, and legalize marijuana. I mean,
wow!
Those are super important things.
The trifecta!
Okay, to be honest, the economy is important. But, those are apparently the issues: marijuana, climate change, and the economy.
They have to be absolutely stoned in Canada to vote Trudeau in.
Or they want to be.
Now, what happened with Harper? I mean, was it? Was the economy so bad the Harper suffered? Was it the military?
I think that's probably definitely part of it. I also think that politics is very cyclical. You have one party in power, one person in power for several years, and people just want to change. And I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing. We very, very rarely see in democracies where you have real democracies where you have one person that one person or one party that continually maintains power. So, I mean, Harper was there, I think, for, 8 years, 9 years, a long time, many years.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Canadians are ready for a change. The economy obviously didn't help. And now apparently they also want marijuana. So
I'll give them some Mary Jane, and the economy will get much better. Is that the socialist answer to everything? If things are not, things are not going right, we'll just get stoned. Now, what does it say about the XL pipeline?
Well, as far as I can tell, they still want the pipeline to go through. The issue has still generally been on our side with Obama, who refuses to support it.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, I mean, I think, Obama's the one who's the hold up here, and I don't necessarily see that changing in for the rest of his term.
Yeah, I read where he had I read where he had a conversation after the election. It's amazing how the president of the United States can quickly get in contact with Trudeau after the election, but other things he just seems to be on the golf course about. But he called him after the election, and apparently they are in agreement that climate change is the number one issue, which might shelf altogether the pipeline and anything else outside of cave paintings for the two.
It's definitely possible. It's definitely possible. I mean, they seem to have kind of the same opinion, right? That the most pressing international issue is climate change. Now, I'm not going to say that the economic, the environmental, health of the planet is important. However, I would never say that it's the number one international issue.
Doesn't Trudeau know that the polar caps he's closer to the polar caps than Obama. He should know. The polar caps have expanded to their record level. We're not warming up. We're cooling down. We're about to go into another ice age maybe the next 100 years. These guys are completely off their rocks. I guess the only answer is stone. Get some Mary Jane. Get some weed. Maybe it makes life better.
It's possible. It's possible.
I want to ask you real quick. We're talking with Janice Hall of J Hall World Report, one of the most influential world leaders. She doesn't know it yet, but she has been so far almost picture perfect regarding foreign policy. And people tune in every Tuesday night to listen to her. But I don't want her head to get big. So,
okay, I have a small head.
The Stop Sanctuary Policies and Protect Americans Act did not get past the U.S. Senate.
No, it didn't.
What is that all about?
Okay, so we have some cities, some municipalities throughout the country who, don't really like to follow federal law, and basically, don't follow federal law when it comes to illegal immigrants. Okay, and so essentially the sanctuary cities bill, as they were calling it, was up in the Senate today, and it would basically be to stop allowing these cities to essentially break or ignore federal laws, and it did not pass. So basically, it means that now these cities still have some cover when it comes to, not following the law.
You know that both of us live in sanctuary cities. Washington D.C. is a sanctuary city by executive order of Vincent Gray. But we receive almost 1/3 of our money from the federal government. If that bill had passed, it would have sent Washington through Hades. I mean, a city that is so used to having billions of dollars will have 1/3 less than that to run on. That would be a tremendous pressure on on the next
They
month.
have to change.
Yeah.
Which is, basically what happened. Was basically some, road laws, speed limits and stuff, and the federal government said, well, we're just not going to give you any more states or any more money to the states if you don't follow these guidelines. And guess what? The states complied. So now, I think it's hilarious that these cities can not, they can go their own way and claim that they're following the Constitution, which is what they're claiming, by the way. With regard to illegal immigration. Meanwhile, I think we could also all agree that they very clearly are not following the Constitution when it comes to things like gun rights.
Exactly.
So it's a complete double standard.
We're talking with Janice Hall, J Hall World Report. I think the best part of our show during the course of the week, but don't tell the underground professor I said that. The sanctuary cities, if a lot of people don't know what they are, is basically that the cities do not follow the immigration laws of the U.S. government. And so what they say is if an individual has been caught doing a crime and they have been adjudicated, whether fortuitously putting them behind bars or not, they have the right not to call ICE, immigration enforcement, and say, hey, come pick them up. So literally these people are released to their own recognizance, and you probably never see them again, and then they go out and commit other crimes.
Right.
Why? I can't get beyond the why part, but is it simply because there is not enough strength in the Senate to override a Obama veto? Is that the reason why they don't want to do this?
That's probably a very practical reason. I think they just don't. I think mainly they just don't like it because they don't like to do anything. They don't like to support any law that puts any sort of curb on immigration for fear that it looks xenophobic, which is completely not the case. I think that we have always I don't think anyone on the other side of the aisle is saying that there shouldn't be any legal immigration, that we should just close our borders and not let anyone in. All right, everybody agrees that immigration is good, but the Republicans think that immigration that should be controlled to some degree, and just not let everyone come in. And I think that that's a perfectly reasonable expectation.
Well, my feelings on my feelings on this is that one weekend we should load up all the school buses in America with individuals who are here illegally and take them back to whence they came. Drop them at the border, baby. Drop it like it's hot. But apparently that's a little too conservative for most people.
Apparently so.
Oh my!
I would like to do that. I do admit that there are certain practical problems. I admit that there are practical problems.
I would provide bag lunches, Janice. Bag lunch is cool, and maybe a Slurpee on the way out. You know what I'm saying? I think I'm very, kind and humanitarian about that. Maybe stop at Walmart, get a change of clothes. You know, I stretching it, but you know, I try to be as humanitarian as I possibly can be. Which leads me to my next story, another humanitarian effort that's taking place in all the world. Russia is coming to the aid of their ally. They really know the definition of friend, don't they?
Absolutely. They have finally decided, I mean, we were talking about this last week, they are going to support, essentially, Assad, and they've been doing, you know, bombing runs on Assad's enemies, who are essentially a mixture of ISIS and people who might be more moderate. I say might be more moderate. I don't think we actually really know that for a fact. If there's anyone even still moderate left in Syria. So the U.S. and Russia got together, and since we're also doing flyovers in our own bombing runs against ISIS, we thought it might be a good idea to get together and kind of hash out a plan so that they don't start, you know, shooting each other.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is good. I think that's a good plan. Even if we have slightly differing opinions on who essentially should be bombed, I think it's both ISIS and essentially, you know, ISIS is basically also the one fighting Assad. You know, it needs to be dealt with. Well, technically speaking, Assad also needs to be dealt with, but it's a mess.
So let's just be real here, Janice. They're not there trying to get rid of ISIS. They're there trying.
No, they're not.
They're trying to.
They're there trying to support Assad.
Exactly.
We are not there to support Assad, but the two things are sort of connected, sort of in a way.
So.
And we don't actually want to shoot at each other. However, the one person that was not part of this whole deal was Turkey. And Turkey, who's right on the border, has actually been the one that has been probably most concerned about these flyover bombing runs. And rightfully so, since they're actually on the border. So, we'll see if there's any mishaps that arise from Turkey not being included in this deal.
Now, let's just be real earnest here. Vladimir Putin is testing NATO at this point. Because what happens?
Yes, he is.
What happens if he accidentally, like he did Iran, drop two, just to see what would happen? What if he accidentally testing the electrical fence finds out he could drop a couple of bombs over Istanbul, and then the next thing we know, NATO doesn't respond, and he feels that, you know what, Turkey's not a bad addition to Russia.
I don't think that will happen. But I do think that the probability for a mishap is pretty high. I think the probability of, you know, Turkey being upset is also very high. And, you know, Turkey is a part of NATO, and that could potentially be a problem. Though, with Obama being president, it's probably actually not going to come to anything.
Well, with him, it might be the exact opposite. Because I'm worried. Turkey is in the midst of... There are radicals in Turkey who have angst. They're radical Mohammedans who have angst against the secular government of Turkey. And for the past 20 years, they've been, you know, testing the waters, and they're bordering on civil war right now. If you could fracture, well, the world looks at Vladimir Putin and they say he responded to Syria when they were in need. He understands friendship. Obama when Israel was in need, did not respond. Obama, when Saudi Arabia was in need, did not respond. Obama, when Libya was in need, did not respond. When Egypt was in need, did not. He's not a really good friend. So,
No, he's not.
so the theory is in the Middle East, my friend is the one who's the strongest. And if Vladimir Putin takes a shot, maybe at Turkey, and there's a civil war or civil unrest that's going on, it could fracture Turkey, and one part might go in the direction that we don't want to go, thus creating a huge, difficult problem for NATO. Is that reasonable?
It's reasonable. I think it's possible. I mean, I don't think it's likely to happen. I think Turkey is still, pretty strong and pretty much in control. I mean, you are correct, though. They do have factions that could take advantage of situations. But I don't think that Russia will necessarily be the instigator of that. But I mean, it does make a big mess. If something does happen with Turkey and Russia and Turkey are unhappy with each other, NATO allies will be tested, and it will be, as I would imagine, another test that Obama will fail, and Russia will, be able to do whatever it wants to do without consequence.
Okay, this is a radical me. I'm just thinking that Russia just might be able to expand its land borders from here to the Indian Ocean. I'm sorry, or the Gulf. I'm just thinking. Look who we have in office. Who's their resistance going to come from? Want to ask you real quick, because we've been following China long before everybody else was, and you're listening to Janice Hall, the J Hall World Report, every Tuesday night, 10 o'clock. Best foreign policy in America, if you really want to listen. In fact, I think you should. But China's president is visiting the UK. He visited Obama here. Now he's headed towards David Cameron. David Cameron must be shaken after seeing the electoral results in Canada. What's this all say?
He's probably not too happy.
Yeah, really. So what does this look like? David Cameron is kind of a moderate. He's not really conservative, not really liberal. He's just somewhere in the middle.
Right, but he's more conservative than Trudeau.
Yes.
I mean, as far as I know, Cameron's opinion is that global warming is not the most important international problem.
I heard Fidel.
I don't believe he's for legalizing marijuana. Or at least it's not on his main platform.
Not one of the top 10. But I heard Fidel Castro is a little bit more conservative than Trudeau. Just from what I've heard. But David Cameron meeting with President Xi Jinping, I believe, is his name. And exactly what's to come of that? Are we going to see a better relationship between China and Western Europe? Or are they trying to get oil from China or something? Or what exactly are they looking for?
Well, they definitely are looking for closer economic ties. Right now China is not having the best economic situation compared to the crazy growth that they've had before. So I think that they are really looking, for other ways that they can continue to, grow their economy.
Mm-hmm.
And the British, clearly, are also to some degree interested in how they can help each other economically. That said, the human rights issues that China has are, as we all know, very serious. And that,
wow.
every time a Western country deals with China, it's sort of like you get some, you help them out a little bit economically, but you also expect to some degree to get some improvement in the human rights sector. So, I think we'll just have to see if Britain's able to get anything from that. It would be my inclination that, they probably won't get anything, or if they do, it'll be very minimal. But that is just that is how China operates.
Wow, you just get that feeling like you shook hands with the enemy, and it's like, oh, but is this a way for China needs to help because their economy sucks. I think they're growing at negative 0% overall. It doesn't matter. They're just not growing as fast as they used to. And so they can't keep up with the amount of debt that they may have accrued, forgive me. And isn't Cameron looking for a diversion from the question about the European Union? Wouldn't this be a nice diversion?
He might be. Or he could also be looking for other ways to, have economic ties with other countries that are not necessarily so tightly, involved in the European Union.
Yeah!
So there's definitely that too.
I think he's got the handwriting on the wall that Britain will not be joining. Thank you for the invitation, but we have previous appointment with someone else. So
you have a previous engagement.
There you go. Finally, last few moments of the show, last few moments of the Janice Hall World Report for the week. Janice, what's the big story that you think will happen in the next week that we should be following?
Okay, so it just came out very recently that Hungary has basically closed its border with Croatia, and Slovenia is basically only allowing a certain number of migrants into the country. We're talking about essentially the Syrian illegal immigrants. And Greece just hit 500,000.
Woo!
Yeah.
Woo!
So, Greece is in such a wonderful financial situation that they can certainly handle all of these migrants. But so far it's looking pretty bad because while other countries in Europe are supposedly supposed to be helping, there hasn't really been a lot of aid, and Greece, really can't, just financially support them. And the fact that Hungary actually has essentially, completely stopped, the movement, the border, is pretty significant, I think. It means that they are definitely, very, very concerned about people who are entering.
Exactly. Quick question for you on this regard. Now, I know you're about to end here, but if 500,000 troops entered Greece, what would we call it?
I'm pretty sure we would call it an invasion.
I'm just saying. 500,000 people all of a sudden show up on your shores, and they are not speaking your language. They want to play the gong 5 times a day, very loudly, and they believe in marrying 8-year-olds. This is just not going to work. It's just not going to work. Janice Hall, the J Hall World Report, one of the best reasons to listen to the Exceptional Conservative Show on Tuesday nights. God bless you, and thank you so much for being on with me tonight.
Thank you, and have a great evening.
You too. I love Janice Hall. This woman is on fire when it comes to foreign policy. You're listening to the Exceptional Conservative Show. We're not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation. First the Republican and then the Democrat. The beautiful and brilliant Mrs. Biggs is watching via live stream, Ustream. Mary Brockman, my bouncer, is in the chat role at the Exceptional Conservative Show, holding it down, as she has held it down for many years. And also joined by Dave Milner. You can join just by coming to the exceptionalconservativeshow.com for more news and information. When we come back, I want to talk with you in terms of why, and there's an essential reason why there must be a Paulinian cleansing of individuals before they join the Republican Party, lest they bring socialism across the border like an invasion. Can you imagine?
My name is Christopher Arnold, I'm the executive chef of the Big Restaurant, and today I'm walking you through some of the meals that we serve here. So we're making a pizza. We use French Italian sausage. They cook here and slice it up. Pizza dough is an in-house made. Pizza sauce is in-house made. So everything is fresh and good. This is our Thai curry chicken. The sauce is made with coconut milk and a Thai red curry. It is juicy chicken thighs as well as some mixed vegetables, served with jasmine rice and pita bread. So now we're going to prepare our famous blackened tilapia and grits, our fish and grits on the menu. And our meal will be complete. Let me tell you about our infused cheeseburgers. So we kick the spice up just a little bit with our infused sauce. We start off with 80-20 USDA ground chuck ham patty burgers, like half a pound of burgers, and we're going to grill it to perfection. After I flip the burgers, we add the sauce, let it cook on it until it looks a little bit. We're going to add a little bit of pepper jack cheese to this burger, spice it up a bit.
Order up right now, people. Ladies and gentlemen, That burger could have been yours right now. And I know Dave Milner and myself, men of svelte physique. Screw that. My physique left me in my teenage years. Oh man, but to have an infused burger is like nothing you've ever tasted before. And certainly after you've tasted it, you want to taste it all over again. Yes, www.infuseinfuse.com. www.infuseinfuse.com. You can get out there. I believe they're open till 11. I believe that you can get out there right now, and you still got time. By the time my show ends, I won't be able to get out there to get a burger, but you could. Instead of going to McDonald's and being disappointed. Listen, I eat at McDonald's. I'm not trying to advertise for them, but I'm disappointed every time I pull the burger out the wrapper and I eat it. It's not an infused burger. 301-449-9000, 6339 Allentown Road, Temple Hills, Maryland, 20748. You don't have to stop living to have a good burger. I am telling you that right now. Infuse. Get it today. With our time coming to an end, I think it is time for us to really begin focusing on why socialists have sought a political agenda. Yes, a working strategy. A working strategy to take over this nation. Really, it is. You can. It's not. Ladies and gentlemen, you're not crazy. You're not crazy. There are those who want to take away the Bill of Rights. There are those who want to install the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights on America. There are those who believe with all of their heart that the biggest threat to world persecution, the biggest threat to totalitarianism, the biggest threat to communism, and a good way of understanding communism and socialism is this. It is the state control either by force, which is communism, or by vote, which is socialism. There is a third Bill of Rights. And that third Bill of Rights is intended to take away your freedoms, your liberties. And they hope of all hopes that you, my friend, would simply sit back and say, you know what? That makes sense. That makes sense. I believe, as I go down the Bill of Rights, I believe with all of my heart that something's wrong with America. Somehow, it's not right for people to be so successful, having built this nation on the backs of Native Americans and on the backs of Latinos and on the backs of Asians and on the backs of Africans. Is something wrong with that? You see, it's the race that separates us. You know, and this is where I would like to explain to you why there has to be a purification process before an individual leaves a party and joins another party. You see, the socialists do that which the GOP should do. The socialists say, you can't come on our playground again and wear our uniform until you submit. Notice how he said Otter Davis was very arrogant with us and very demanding with us. You see, under the socialists, they don't want you to be demanding. They don't want you. They want you to be submissive. They want that fight taken out of you so that the party generals, the heads of the parties, the locals, the regional, so that the heads will have such control that they will institute doctrine and begin destroying your minds. Mind control is what's practiced among socialists. That's where we get the groupthink from. One of the problems with us is that we're individualistic, we're free. Well, actually, it's not even a problem. It's one of the great feats. But there are those wolves amongst us who are trying to pick off the innocent sheep. Let me put it this way. Frederick Bastiat said this about socialism. Socialism, like the ancient ideas from which it springs. And remember now, this is nothing new. If you read Plato, if you read Aristotle, socialism is nothing new. It's a dependency on the state to do for you what you can do for yourself. I know, I'll give you a more technical term and definition. That way you can say that you learned something tonight. But it confuses distinction between government and society. Bastiat said it confuses the definition, the distinction between government and society. There is a place for government, and it's within society, not a place for society within government. Dave writes to me in the chat room. He says we should be talking about the Fabian socialism that's taking hold of Australia. And he's right. The socialists are convinced that they're right, even when they know they're wrong. And they are convicting those by guilt and by fear and by shame, and coercing others by threat and proclamation and deceit. Bastiat goes on. This is what he says. Socialism, like the ancient ideas from which it springs, confuses distinction between government and society. As a result of this, every time we object to a thing being done by government, the socialists conclude that we object to its being done at all. You don't want people to see the doctor, do you? You evil man! You don't want mothers to be able to have, well, women to have a choice so they don't have to be mothers living in poverty. You're a cruel man. You just want 8-year-olds to have unprotected sex. So you don't want the school to give out a condom. You're just evil. You don't want the landfills to be closed off environmentally unsafe. You're a toxin in our society. You know what? You get tired of that crap. That's why Donald Trump and Dr. Ben Carson are doing so well. People are tired of that crap. Mr. and Mrs. Socialist, move on to something else. Even Bosnia at 200 years understood socialists. Why do we as conservatives have such a time explaining the fact, like Bosnia says here, we disapprove of state education? Then the socialists say that we are opposed to any education. We object to state religion. Then the socialists say that we want no religion at all. We object to a state-enforced equality. Then they say that we are against equality. And so on, and so on. It is as if the socialists were to accuse us of not wanting persons to eat because we do not want the state to raise grain. Do you understand? It is not that you're wrong in your arguments. It's because you are accepting the suppositions of your opposition that your arguments fall faint. You're not saying you don't want women to be cared for. You're just saying, hey, I want them to be married to a man, not the government. You're not saying that you don't want people to pay taxes. You're just saying you don't want them to have to pay income taxes because the founding fathers didn't want us to pay income taxes. You're not saying... Do you understand what Boston is trying to explain to you? Socialists want you to always have your answer fused with government intervention. That somehow, if the local, if the regional, if the state, if the federal doesn't do it, then we're all lost. Private industry. People talk about we the people is government, that's us. But guess what? Private industry is you too. You are the job creators, not the government. So you say that because you just don't want people to have government jobs. No! I'm not saying it for that particular reason, socialists. I'm saying socialism gives us to the ideals that the only way that we can achieve anything in life is that the government does it for us. I know how to flush my toilet. I don't need the government giving me an instruction book and then restricting corporations from building devices that we used to call toilets but are now washing machines for feces, because you literally have to press the button 3 or 4 times. Ladies and gentlemen, regulatory affairs, they told you a little earlier, socialists want to regulate you into a belief that government can do all things for all people at all times. There is only one that is able to do all, and that is God. When you begin to believe what the socialists believe, that you no longer need what? Yeah, you no longer need God. Bastiat makes it very plain for us to understand what socialism does. I want to go back to an article written back in 1850 called The Law. And it's called The Cruel Wreckage of Socialism. Bastiat writes, how is it that the strange idea of making the law produce what it does not contain, prosperity, in a positive sense, wealth, science, religion, should ever have gained ground in the public political world? The modern politicians, particularly those of the socialist school, found their different theories upon one common hypothesis, and surely a more strange, a more presumptuous notion could ever have entered a human brain. They divide mankind into 2 parts. Men in general, except one, formed the first. The politician himself formed the second, which is by far the most important. And this is why I am telling you, those who are in the District of Columbia, regarding the advisory neighborhood commissions, Bible-believing pastors, and let me qualify that remark. Not Bible-believing pastors who read their Bible believing by the standards of the Howard University Divinity School. But I'm talking born-again, Bible-believing, gun-toting, whatever it is. I'm talking really Bible-believing Christians. You need to find one person in each of the ANCs and run them. You want to change Washington, D.C., watch what happens when that happens. Bosiak goes on, he says, in fact, they begin by supposing that men are devoid of any principle of action and of any means of discernment in themselves, that they have no initiative, that they are inert matter, passive particles, atoms without impulse, at best a vegetation indifferent to its own mode of existence, susceptible of assuming from an exterior will and a hand an infinite number of forms more or less symmetrical, artistic, and perfected. Moreover, every one of these politicians does not hesitate to assume that he himself is, under the names of organizer, discoverer, legislator, institution, or founder, this will in hand, this universal initiative, this creative power, whose sublime mission is to gather together these scattered materials, that is, men, into society. What we need to do, they need to pass a law, right? They need to pass a budget, so we can stop crime. No! Government can't stop crime. I'm sorry, I just need to break it down to you so that you have a better understanding. Government can't stop crime, but you can. Government can enforce the laws against crime, and we pray that they're judicial and how they handle the affairs of the estate, and egalitarian in terms of how they enforce it. But men and women, government do not have control over crime. The only individuals that have control over crime are you. Let me go on here real quick so that you get a better understanding of what I'm saying. It is only needful to open almost at random a book on philosophy, politics, or history to see how strongly this idea, the child of classical studies and the mother of socialism, is rooted in our country, that mankind is merely inert matter receiving life, organization, morality, and wealth from power. Or rather, and still worse, that mankind itself tends towards degradation. It is only arrested in its tendency by the mysterious hand of the legislator. And for those who don't know, the mysterious hand, the invisible hand that Adam Smith writes about, is the hand of God. The mysterious hand that Bosiak writes about is the power of government. Classical conventionalism shows us everywhere, behind passive society, a hidden power under the names of law or legislator, or by a mode of expression which refers to some person or persons of undisputed weight and authority, but not named, which moves, animates, enriches, regenerates mankind. Bousset said this: one of the things which was most strongly impressed by whom upon the mind of the Egyptians was the love of their country. Nobody was allowed to be useless to the state. The law assigned to every one his employment, which descended from father to son. No one was permitted to have two professions, nor to adopt another. But there was one occupation which was obliged to be common to all. This was the study of the laws and of wisdom. Ignorance of religion and the political regulations of the country were excused in no condition of life. Moreover, every profession had a distinct assign to it. By whom? Amongst good laws, one of the best things was that everybody was taught to observe them by whom. Egypt abounded with wonderful inventions, and nothing was neglected which could render life comfortable and tranquil. Basquiat says us men, according to Bousset, derive nothing from themselves. Patriotism, wealth, inventions, husbandry, science, all come to them by the operation of the laws or by the kings. All they have to do is to be passive. And there we are, America. This is how you allow your liberties to be taken, your freedoms to be incurred upon, your devotions to be challenged by atheists, your children to be taught the pagan brew and Mohammedanism in the schools, without your permission, of course, that they're handed condoms on the way out the door at the kindergarten classroom because you just don't know how many will show up at the OB-GYN center. Ladies and gentlemen, you have your will. Your will is the sovereign will of God and this country. It is your role and your responsibility to take this country, to take your region, to take your locality, to take your neighborhood back. The only way you can lose is to be passive. A man once told me, do not die cowardly. Live bravely. I promise to do that every single day. I thank you for richly listening to the Exceptional Conservative Show. We will be back tomorrow night with a better understanding of Christianity, conservatism, constitutionality, and as well, my favorite, capitalism. Well, actually, Christianity is my favorite, but I had to end it one way or the other. Remember, God bless America. Now, America, bless God.